Every story has a beginning, and every story has an end, whether given or inferred. There's really no room for argument there. However, every story has its own unique path from start to finish. I like to think of every story as a marathon. Each person who listens to a story enters and finishes at his or her own pace. The tools they use during the marathon are what we like to call hits. These hits can slow a person down, speed them up, or do pretty much anything imaginable to them in their quest through the story. Brian, Joe! For example, Joe and Jason. Jason always tries to help out Joe with his math homework. Joe takes the helping hand as an insult and always ends up bullying Jason. Jason means well, but his attempt at reciprocal altruism always backfires. And I'm the one who has to deal with the backlash. Here, let me explain. Reciprocal altruism is a term Boyd uses to describe a certain behavior in a story. It can be seen in multiple stories and ties in well with my story. The point of reciprocal altruism is that if help is given, help will thus be received. It orbits around good people helping other good people. If good people help other good people, for example, the altruism will reciprocate. This follows an evolutionary pattern. Bad people will slow the cycle, and thus must be excluded as their punishment. In theory, Jason is wasting his time with Joe and should let him struggle with his homework. Joe represents the bad in this situation. He is the bully and the instigator. Jason, on the other hand, demonstrates a struggle between good and bad, from an altruistic standpoint. Let's take a look at the flip side now. In One Without a Story, the opposite of my story's outcome happens. Teague, the main character, is a famous basket weaver without the ability to tell a good story. He winds up in this wacky, tornado-induced adventure where he discovers that he has other talents. These talents help the people he encounters. He serenades them, preaches to them, and even performs a medical procedure for them. His altruistic acts wind up giving him the ability to tell a story. This is an example of altruism reciprocating itself and creating a cycle of goodness. The archetype in Teague's story is life purpose, and the local is Teague discovering that his purpose is to tell stories. While both Jason and Teague demonstrated altruism, the results were very different. Teague's altruism was reciprocated because he helped good people. Jason's was not, because of Joe's bullying behavior. In my opinion, Teague's story would be considered a success by Boyd, and Jason's plight a failure. And by the way, Joe the bully, he turned out not to be as much of a bully as we thought he was after all. And in the end, the love you take is easy.